It is always on the same spot of this garden that I could have a perfect glimpse of the moon. Last year I featured the moon, and to me, I always remember the moon during the time that we are working during the night, because my father opted to work during the cool time and not exposing us to extreme sunlight during the day. So we are being spared from the agony or from the pain of having our skin be exposed to the sunlight. And tonight we are in Salam Street, and far from us, of course, that is in heaven, that is in the space, we can have a glimpse of the moon. Having the glimpse of a moon is so important for us, especially if you are planning to go on fishing or crabbing, because if it is low tide, then it would be very beneficial to those who are catching crabs. So tonight we are not going to catch crabs, but we are going to be inspecting again. So we are going to become like an inspector in our garden. And see, this garden actually is barricaded with kamachili. So I intently planted these kamachili trees here so that people will not just be easily intruding into my garden. So they're going to be like being hindered upon looking that the kamachili has thorns in it. So it was intended, although I abandoned this section in the past 6 months because of the scarcity of water, yet right now we are regaining our commitment to water it again. And that is why you'll be able to observe here that there are new leaves and branches, young branch of kamachili growing. We are really happy that even if I abandoned this particular section here, the kamachili still managed to grow. But there are really other kamachilis that died. You can see here that the leaves turned brown. But we are also reviving even the smaller kamachili here. I'm trying to water it. And even here, although this actually died, and some really died, but I could see like a little development right now, because yeah, that one seemed to be regaining its momentum to grow again. So perhaps during the time that there was no water, I believe the adaptation of plants like this is that they sometimes removed their leaves, so there is no transpiration. It means that the water are retained within the system. It is not being transpired, and when the time is going to be favorable, then they are going to manufacture food, and they're going to have the healthy leaves again. So this serves as our guard, so that no one just easily intrude our garden here. No one just easily enter here. So at least people are going to be hesitant of entering here. Perhaps of fear that they are going to be wounded. See? So although this seemed to be like a temporary hedge, because when this kamachili is going to grow taller and taller and bigger, and when the municipality is going to notice this one, that there is a hindrance here, then I believe they're going to send a team to to cut this off, similar with the huge plant which were actually planted there at the middle, which actually grew in the middle. They actually moved it, but some, you can see this plant, a similar variety actually grew there in the middle, and they cut it because it was found out by drone that there is a huge tree here, and they removed. Fortunately, our garden and other plants like the squash, during the time that we started gardening here, it was spared by the person from the municipality. And in fact, I was so curious in asking that, sir, would you remove also the plantation that I have here? And then he said politely that um, the truth is the things that you are doing here is not actually legal. So I understand that it is against the policy, yet it is going to be considered as like private development. For now, we are going to consider you gardening here. So I was relieved during the time, and in fact, I was inspired even to make an expansion and to till the land and make it so healthy, so that whenever we are going to plant here, there is a sure harvest. It means that you are planting and there is a sure harvest. You're not just simply wasting your time. So I was inspired by then, and yes, I planted. And in fact, during the first season of our tilling the land here, we were able to plant sweet potato and squash, and of course the moringa, and what else? The saluyot also, and kangkong here, and there was watermelon also here, and rock melon during the time. And right now, you're observing this time that the growth of the rock melon here, this is actually the rearest part. It means this is the end, and we made sure that the end portion of it is actually growing exponentially, meaning that they are really growing beyond our expectation here. I didn't expect that it is going to grow this big right now, and just almost a month. Today is the 27th day actually. So on the 27th day of Christmas, on the 27th day, we are observing, in fact, during the 24th day of our observation here, there are flowers already, and the flowers are continuously blooming. What we are expecting this rock melon right now is to translate the flower into fruit, and that is the ultimate end that we are expecting this watermelon. So it started to spread through. This too also, we are expecting so much that it is going to replicate the growth here because it is nearby. It means that the soil composition here, and since it makes the growth here so healthy and exponentially growing, and it's only proximity, so it means that the soil composition here have similarity. So we are also expecting this rock melon to grow exponentially. Uh-huh. So this one also, yes, it is regaining its momentum of growth. Although the soil is actually sandy here in this section, yet by our constant effort to water it, even if it is like gradual or sometimes it is getting soaked in water, um, it paved, I mean, our efforts paved the way for it to grow, and for it to to have the thickening of the summit, and it is going to be ready even to spread through. So here in this section, it is specifically being designed for the nutrients to be concentrated here in this section, and that is why I ripped wrap it. I don't know, sometimes really like the intruders, it was actually properly arranged the other day. Perhaps the cats were actually playing here, and that's what I am afraid of. When these cats are actually very playful, they are not mindful whether they bumped into or damaged into the plants. And in fact, I remember during the early days wherein these rock melon were growing, sometimes the cats were just simply bumping into it as they are very playful, and perhaps that's the reason why the growth really became so stagnated, because who would have been motivated to grow if there are hindrances for its growth and development? But we didn't surrender, and we wanted that the growth of the rock melon is going to be expedited, and that is why we loosen the soil here in this particular section. And in fact, I was able to unearth, these are actually the stones which were part of the soil composition here. And if we did not unearth the rocks really, I am not sure whether we are going to attain such kind of growth. As you can see here, one thing that is so remarkable about this rock melon, before it started to expand, it made sure that the base of it have a lot of tender shoots, so that when they are going to expand, it is going to be ready. And the thing is, it first thicken its base, because there are actually growth that in the first place it is like very small, and then as the root system were able to consume or find out nutritious food, so then by then they started to build up, to grow. But this time, no, I mean, it follows the normal patterns of growth, wherein it must to be bigger first, and then it started to expand. And that is what we are seeing here in this rock melon. And I think the same pattern here, there is a building up of growth and it is expanding, similar with this one. Yes, it is expanding. So these rock melons here are part of the batches which I rip-wrapped and made sure that there is a concentration of nutrients, and I removed I unearthed the rocks and pile it on the edge. And this is actually very useful, because whenever the roots are actually spreading through, and whenever they are seeping into the nutrients that is underneath the rocks, then the rock actually, when it is being watered, so it would retain its temperature, the coolness of its temperature. So I believe it would be really beneficial for the rock melon. And we are also seeing here various changes in the rock melon. So today we didn't soak this, because we were actually reserving the water for the next 2 days, and today is the second day. So tomorrow we don't have reserved water. Oh, there are flowers already, so meaning that I really have to be begging for mercy of our neighbor to lend us the water and to allow us to use the hose. Of course, they have been so helpful. If you happen to check also the blog of the warrior mom Chris Marteja, then you can also be learning about life. And she is actually lending us free water, and that is why we are able to use the water, including her husband, Dr. Richie Marteja. So far, guys, this is the update of our rock melon. And just to add a few, because since this area is actually being allocated, of course, for the sweet potato there, and sweet potato here, and Okamoya aquatica or kangkong, and there are also other plants that grow. Actually, these are grasses. I think these are carabao grasses. So right now, one of the indicators that the soil really have regained its composition to be able to hold roots and to be able to grow plants is that the presence of grass growing, voluntarily growing, and normally growing in a certain location. That means that the soil is already becoming fertile to be used for gardening. So this time there are cucumber here. You can see here. Yeah, there's actually cucumber. Mm-hmm. It grew already, and the ampalaya also starts to germinate. The bitter gourd. The ampalaya. Okay, another ampalaya here, and I could see. You can see that. And that's ampalaya also. It really took like one week for it to grow, and I don't know whether this is white gourd. I hope this is white gourd. This is white gourd also. Okay, another white gourd. This is white gourd. Wow. So perhaps I have succeeded so far in planting, although it takes like not the unusual time for me to experience germination this time. Perhaps the factors that contributed for the delay was I didn't soak it in water, and I didn't soak the soil also the seed in water. I should have done that. At least I soak it like one day just to awaken the seed in itself, because it was so dry. But it was already here, and we are seeing the potential of this to grow, this cucumber to grow. And we also have prepared even the railings here. Yeah, so I am foreseeing that this railing here will become green one of these days. So thank you guys for watching. I've been talking a lot perhaps tonight. I've been talking a lot because I'm happy seeing the growth of our plants here. So if you like the content of this video, and if you wish to receive regular update, please do subscribe, like, comment, and share, and hit that notification bell. Thank you guys for watching SAS TV Official. Good evening and God bless.